Today, lobster is one of the most expensive items on the menu. It's a luxury dish served at the weddings, fancy restaurants and lavish parties. But there was a time when lobster was considered trash food. In fact, it was so undesirable that it was fed to prisoners, servants and even used as a fertilizer. Our story starts in colonial America. Lobsters were everywhere along the northeastern coast of the US, especially in places like Maine and Massachusetts. They would wash up on the beaches in massive piles. In fact, early settlers described lobsters as so plentiful that they could be raked off the shore. But instead of being seen as delicacy, they were considered the food of the poor. Lobsters were cheap and easy to catch, which made them perfect for feeding prisoners, servants and the poor. In some cases, prisoners were fed so much lobster that they protested, demanding not to eat it more than 3 times a week. The lobster was seen as a cruel and unusual punishment. People also thought lobsters were ugly, bottom-dwelling scavengers. They weren't seen as sophisticated or elegant. Instead, they were associated with poverty and desperation. But things started to change in the late 19th century. As railroads expanded across America, fresh seafood could be transported to inland areas. Lobster was introduced to people who hadn't grown up seeing it as trash food. Restaurants in places like New York and Chicago began serving lobster as a novelty, and it quickly became popular among the wealthy. By the early 20th century, lobster had fully transformed into a luxury item. Its price skyrocketed and it became a symbol of wealth and status. What was once the food of prisoners was now being served to millionaires in upscale restaurants. The irony here is quite something. Lobster went from being so undesirable that prisoners refused to eat it to being one of the most expensive dishes you can order today. Interestingly, it wasn't the lobster itself that changed, it was just how people perceived it.